is when I go in and do surgery, right? When the doctor does surgery, I want to fix the root cause problem. I don't want to just fix a symptom. Not knowing how to brief executives is a symptom of a bigger problem. Welcome to Life of a CISO. I'm Dr. Eric Cole, your host, and we'll be taking you on a journey each week on what it takes to be a CISO and what are solutions that you can implement today if you are currently a Chief Information Security Officer or if you want to be one in the future. This is Life of a CISO. Welcome, 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 welcome. You know what time it is. It's time for Life of a CISO with yours truly, Dr. E is in the house. It is always a pleasure to spend some time with you. I hope you are having an awesome and amazing year and you are just crushing your targets. If you don't have targets, you need your targets, right? But that's going to be either listen to a previous podcast or a future one. But today what I really want to talk about is a topic that's been coming up a lot. It just came up on my group coaching call earlier this week, and it's come up with a lot of my private clients that I work with. And it's, how do you brief executives? How do you crush an executive briefing? And I'm going to cover that. But one of the things you probably know about me is when I go in and do surgery, right? When the doctor does surgery, I want to fix the root cause problem. I don't want to just fix a symptom. Not knowing how to brief executives is a symptom of a bigger problem. The bigger problem is inner confidence. You don't have that confidence, or you don't believe that you're capable of sitting in a boardroom. And not only sitting in the boardroom, but briefing executives. And this is natural, because most of you that are listening have come from a technical background. You have done cybersecurity for 3, 5, 6 years. Now, if you've done cybersecurity for 3, 4, 5 years, and I know you, and you're listening to this podcast, you're either world-class or you're on the cusp of being world-class. You are very good at what you do. You are very confident in what you do, and you're very comfortable in what you do. If we're having a technical conversation about an area in cybersecurity, you get relaxed, you're in your mojo, right? That's what you love and that's what you enjoy. And now we're plucking you out and we're putting you in a brand new environment. We're putting you in a boardroom and everything changes. Now you're in front of a group of people that is a different set of peers. It's no longer technical peers, but it's business executives. You've just gone from being a security engineer where you're typically the smartest and most knowledgeable person in the room. And now you're in the boardroom. And when it comes to business in those areas, you are probably the least knowledgeable person in that area in that room. So it's natural to be nervous. It's natural to have a little urge about that and stress and go, I'm not sure what's going on here, because it's something brand new. And brand new is always a little tricky. So the real issue here is not how do you brief executives. The real issue is how do you tap into your inner confidence? How do you get so confident that you could walk into any room in any environment and be able to know the audience and accurately present to them in a way that you connect and give them exactly what they need? So the root cause is you have to believe in yourself. You have to know that you are awesome and that you can do this. Because I can go in and teach you all the briefing skills, and I will. But if you don't believe in yourself and you go in there nervous and you go in there not sure and you go in there where that inner voice is going, you can't do this, you can't do I can't help you. I can help you, but it's not in that area. It's in this area. I can help you by showing that what you're looking for is inside of you. What you're looking for is not external. I can polish it and help it look pretty, but what you're looking for is there. So I figured if that's what we're going to start off with, is knowing that you are a world-class CISO and that you got this. You haven't done it before, so you might take some time to perfect it, which is okay, but you got this. But if the root cause is believing in yourself as you walk into that room and having confidence, I figured what better way than to kick off this podcast than to talk about the Acre of Diamonds story. The Acres of Diamonds is one of my favorite stories. It talks about a farmer that owned about 20 acres of land, and he had a small little house on this farm, and he would often walk the farm, and there was a river going through the farm, and he'd often wonder what it would be like to be rich, what it would be like to have all this money and no worries in the world. So he started reading and researching about people going and finding diamonds that are worth millions upon millions of dollars. So he decides that he's going to sell his farm and he's going to go out in search of diamonds. So he spends the rest of his life looking for diamonds, going to areas, digging, mining, and trying to find diamonds. And unfortunately, this man grows old, he never finds diamonds, and he passes away. Now, if that was the whole story, that wouldn't be very motivational. So let's step back. That's one path. Let's look at the person who bought his farm. The person who bought his 20-acre farm was one day walking through the river and noticed this object in the water that was sparkling off of the sun. So he went in and he picked up one of these rocks, and he thought it was cool, and he thought it was interesting. So he went and put it on the mantle of his fireplace in his house. And he just looked at it each day and thought it was just a fun-looking rock. Several months later, a friend comes to visit and looks at that stone on the mantle, and with astonishment goes, "Where did you get that?" He goes, "What do you mean?" He goes, "That is one of the biggest diamonds I have ever seen in my life. It's probably worth significant amount of money." And the person who owned the property laughed and said, "Really? I have a river that's full of them. That was just one of many that I just picked up when I was walking." And it turned out that that river, that piece of land, was one of the biggest diamond mines in the world. And that 20 acres has mined hundreds of millions of diamonds over the years. And the lesson, of course, is the diamonds you're looking for are not out there. They're right in your backyard. You just have to look. The confidence you're looking for to brief executives, the skills you're looking for to brief executives are not out there. They're not from Eric. They're right inside of you. And what I have to do is teach you how to mine those diamonds. So just keep remembering that I don't want you to sit there and go, Eric has the skill and I don't. No, the skill to brief executives are in your river. The diamonds are there. You just don't know it. You just have to go and mine those diamonds. Everything you're looking for and everything you need is within you. You just have to tap in to those unlimited resources that you have. So now we get to briefing executives. First and foremost, who are you briefing? You need to spend time understanding your audience. Executive boards and board of directors are made up of people with a lot of different backgrounds, a lot of different knowledge, and a lot of different skill set. When you communicate, one of the most powerful phrases to remember, it's not what you say, it's how you say it. And how you say it is based on the audience. So the first thing you need to do, if this is new to you and you don't know anybody in the room, is you need to start doing research. Go to the EA of the CEO and the COO and ask them, listen, I'm briefing the executive board and I was wondering, is there any spot where I can get bios of everybody who's going to be in that meeting? Or typically executives and board of directors are on companies' websites. So I do a ton of executive briefings. And the first thing we do as soon as we sign the contract for them to bring me in, my team goes and finds out the name of everybody in that room. They find out their bios, their hobbies, that they go in and do as much research as they can on social media. So I know and understand who is in that room. Because think about it. If you're meeting somebody for the very first time, you're a little nervous because you don't know what to talk about. If you're meeting a good friend who you know everything about, it's easy because you have plenty of things to talk about. So by doing this research, you're basically making these people more friends, closer to you, associates, so you know them. So when you walk in the room, you might have never met them. They might not know who you are, but you know who they are. That's important because that's now not only going to give you a level of confidence, but it's also going to give you a level of understanding of their backgrounds, their knowledge, and how they like to think and act. So the first and most critical step that everybody overlooks and everybody misses is executive briefings are not cookie cutter. You must customize it to the audience you're briefing. Most people will take a standard deck that they've given to other people or hundreds of times, and they will go in and give that to the executives in a crash and burn. I ask this question all the time of CISOs. I go, okay, this slide deck that you're going to give to the executives, who else have you given it to? Oh, this is the slide deck that I used for the quarterly review with my team. This is the slide deck that I went over with our vendors. This is the slide deck that I covered with IT to show our strategic plan for the year. Now pause. Is the boardroom that you're going to present in filled with IT engineers, security engineers, and vendors? No! So the slide deck that worked for that audience is not going to work for this audience. So why are you taking that same slide deck and reusing it? It's crazy. The reason why I do such a good job with executive briefings and executives love when I show up is because it's customized to them. This is a one-of-a-kind, given once and only once presentation that's uniquely tailored to the specific audience group and time frame in which I'm presenting to them. If you put in the time and energy and effort, you will get magical results. But you have to know your audience, and you cannot use cookie cutter presentations. Next, when you're presenting to the board, it is a business discussion. It is not a technical discussion. They don't know tech. They don't want to know tech. And that's why they have your team. If they wanted to be technical, they wouldn't be an executive. So your entire presentation needs to be geek-proof. You can't have techie. If your presentation has firewalls, IDS, false positives, any of that stuff in there, you're doing it wrong. Business, business, business. Ideally, what I recommend is if you could sit in a board presentation before you ever present, that would give you such great perspective. Now, this is another one of my favorite ones. I say, have you been able to sit in a board? They won't let me. Okay, who did you ask? Oh, I didn't ask anybody. You didn't ask anybody, but you have the nerve to tell me that they won't let you? How do you know? Ask, ask, ask again. I was able to sit in a board meeting, and you know why? Because the CEO finally said, Eric wasn't going to stop bugging me or my EA, so I figured it was easier to let him sit in on a board meeting than have him continue to bug us, drive us crazy. He goes, but I will miss him bringing us Starbucks coffee every Friday. Because I did do that where I would just keep persistence. Persistence is the name of the game. If you want something bad enough, don't give up on it. But so many times people are like, oh, they won't let me do that. And they never even asked. So try to sit in on a board meeting beforehand so you can understand how it works. Because if you've never attended a board meeting, you have no idea. It is very interactive. There are lots of questions. Very rarely does one person talk for more than 2 or 3 minutes, and it's all focused on growing and expanding the business. That is what boards care about. So when you go in and you present, you should have maybe 3 to 5 slides. If you have more than 5 slides, you are making it harder for yourself and you're probably doing it wrong. If you have more than 20 slides, I can guarantee you are on a suicide mission. They are not going to sit and listen to 20 slides. They want you to interact with them and answer questions. They don't want you to speak and preach to them. Next, if it is 20 slides, the probability of it being so technical that nobody understands is probably a guarantee. A few slides. You have 1 slide that gives the state of that industry. So here's the current state of cybersecurity and healthcare, or finance, or industrial control. Then you have a slide unique to that business, the current business challenges that cybersecurity can solve. And then, if it's a budgetary presentation, you have a slide with 4 columns. And you list out 4 to 5 risks. What could happen? Likely of it happening, cost if it occurs, and cost to fix it. Boom. That's your entire presentation. If you're asking for money, all they want to know is what is it that could happen? What is the likelihood that it could happen? What is the cost if it occurs and cost to fix it? And here's where you have to be business savvy. You should only have items that are a guarantee. So for example, if I'm going in and there's something that has a 95% chance of happening, and if it happens, it will cost the company $10 million, and I want $200K to fix it, I can guarantee I will get the $200K. It's a no-brainer. Who would not do that? There's something that's inevitable, 95% chance of occurring, and it's going to cost us $10 million. Who is not going to spend $200K to mitigate that? It's a no-brainer. However, the mistake that people make is they go in and they'll present low-risk items. This has a 10% chance of occurring, and if it occurs, it will cost us $200K, and I want $500K to fix it. Stupid! Who in the world is going to do that? If it happens, it's cheaper than the cost to fix it. So you need to have some business savvy mindset to present only those high risk items. Next, start off the presentation by asking questions. So I just want to start from this group. What are your biggest concerns when you hear cybersecurity? When it comes to cybersecurity, what are areas that you would like me to cover in this presentation? What topic that if I covered in this presentation would make this the most valuable presentation you've heard on cybersecurity? Open it up with a question. Let them guide and direct and be prepared. And that's why you only have 3 to 5 slides, because be prepared not to cover them. The slides, to be honest with you, are there to make you feel better. Because if I told you to go in with no slides, you'd freak out. So I'm giving you a few slides. Really, the only slide that matters at the end of the day is that budget slide. That one slide that has only 4 things. What could happen? Likelihood of occurring, cost of it occurs, and cost to fix it. That's it, my friends. And then make it interactive. Present your ask. What is the money you're asking for? Show the business value. Show why it's a no-brainer for them to give you that money. And then continually ask them questions on what else can you provide to help them make the best possible business decisions. Briefing executives is fairly simple. If you know the audience really well, you prepare, you have very concise slides, you have a budgetary slide covering the 4 items that I covered, and you interact and ask questions. If you do that, you will totally crush it. The problem is people want to overthink it and make it more complicated than it needs to be. I hope this was of value. And please, after your next executive briefing, drop me a note because I want to hear how much you crushed it. Have an amazing week, and we'll see you next week on Life of a CISO.